Hey guys and girls, check this out. This is my ARB Twin Tank onboard air system. I've got it permanently installed under the hood. I've got hoses plumbed to the back of the Jeep and to the front, and I've got it all controlled from my S-Pod. It is actually a pretty nice setup. So let me tell you why I'm throwing it in the trash. But before I get started, let me just say a couple of things. First, it is really hot in the studio today. It's about 106 degrees outside, which means in here it's about 150. So I'm gonna try to do this quickly. If I make mistakes or if you see sweat dripping from me, we're all just gonna have to deal with it. Second, I've got links to the ARB that I'm talking about and the PowerTank that I'm talking about down in the information section below. You can check them out and look for any deals that are going on and compare pricing either at Amazon or with other places. And also, I had to pay for both my PowerTank and my ARB with my own money. So with all that said, let me tell you about my ARB. I bought my ARB onboard compressor back in 2015, so it's been about 2.5, 3 years now. The compressor cost about $500. It was $100 extra for a bracket to install it under the hood of the JK, and I paid about $200 in labor to have it all installed. That includes the electrical wiring and all that fancy plumbing to the front and the rear that I showed you, because I've got hookups there underneath at the front and at the rear so I can put a hose off of either end of the Jeep. So when I first got this ARB, it was way faster than the little handheld portable I used to use. And it was always ready with an unlimited supply of air. Actually, that's not true, because I could only air up about 9 or 10 tires until it would overheat and shut off. After I'd had the ARB for just under a year, it threw a rod. Big hunk of metal came loose on the inside, and all it did was sound like a big rattle can, and it wouldn't pump any air. ARB wouldn't replace it, but they did authorize to have it rebuilt, and it was pretty much as good as new. Less than a year after that, it failed again. This time, after the second failure, they replaced it, so I got a brand new one. Now, 9 months, 10 months after that, it is again failing. It's starting to make that same rattling noise. So I can tell it's basically on its last leg again. And during that same time, I've also had multiple failures with the hoses and the fittings. I've gone through, I think, 3 different T fittings that split the air supply to the rear and the front of the Jeep. And I've also had a couple of hoses blow out, or hoses blowing out of the fittings, which are a hassle to get back up in there to repair them. Now, this isn't ARB's fault, but it's just another one of the things that goes wrong with high pressure air. There's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of things to go wrong. And for me, that has added up to just a lot of hassle. Now, a lot of people are gonna say, well, I've had an air compressor for years and I've never had a problem. That's great, but just because you didn't have a problem doesn't mean that nobody on the planet's ever gonna have a problem. And it's the same with me. Saying that I did have problems doesn't mean you will have problems. But for me, the air system has been a big hassle, so I decided to give a PowerTank a try. A lot of my friends on the trails have them. Actually, almost every time we go out on the trail, I see another friend that just got a PowerTank and they all say they love them, so I thought I'd give one a try. Now, basic PowerTank costs $300 to $400. It depends on if there's any specials going on and what options you get. I got the complete package. I think they call it package C. It was about $600. It comes with the adjustable regulator, so you can use the PowerTank with air tools. Has all the hoses, all the couplers, the bracket, everything that you need. It's the complete package. I also got the drop bracket. That is a bracket that lowers where the tank is mounted in the back of the Jeep. It's useful for the larger tanks. I got the 15-pound tank, which is the bigger one. And with the basic bracket that it comes with, that puts the tank up pretty high and it's close to the roof. It's kind of tough to get to the regulators. So this drop bracket just brings it down several inches. So I've got plenty of headroom. It just makes it fit better, makes it easier to get in and out of the Jeep. Installing the PowerTank was simple. Even if you're not good with tools, like me, you can do it. You're screwing a couple of clamps onto the roll bar. It's really easy. Just be careful that you don't put the bracket in backwards like I did and then have to take it off and turn it back around. But it is really simple to install. And the great thing about the PowerTank is that it has virtually no moving parts. I mean, there's a regulator and there is a hose that goes out to your gauge and your controller to fill the tire up, but it's a really simple system. Far less moving parts, far less things to go wrong. And one of the things that stopped me from getting a PowerTank early on, and one of the reasons why I went with my air compressor at first, was knowing that you have to get a CO2 tank refilled. And it turns out that's really not that big of a deal at all. PowerTank comes out of the Jeep real easily, even easier with that drop bracket for the larger tank. I took mine down to the local paintball shop where they sell paintball gun accessories. Those paintball guns also use compressed CO2, so they do refills there. I just took it in. The guy hooked it up. It was really quick and easy. Most places charge between $20 and $30. I have the larger 15-pound tank. If you get the smaller 10-pound tank, it's going to be a little less. If you get the larger 20-pound tank, it's going to cost a little more, but it's about $20 to $30 to refill it. So the big question is, how many times can you use it before you run out of gas and have to take it to get it refilled? Now, at the PowerTank website, they've got a fancy chart that tells you for your size tires, based on how low you air down to and what you air back up to and how big your tank is, it'll tell you how many times you should be able to refill your tires before you run out of gas. Now, so far I have gone on 4 trips with the PowerTank. So I've aired down and aired back up 4 times. I also aired down 1 time to make this video. So far I've got 17 refills where I go down to between 8 and 15 pounds, depending on which trail I was on, and back up to 30 pounds. So I've got 17 refills so far, and the tank still isn't empty. So the other big selling point of a PowerTank is how quickly you can air a tire back up. When I got my ARB installed, I was going from a small handheld compressor to the dual canister ARB. So I was going from about 4 minutes or more per tire with the small handheld to my fast ARB, which only took about 3 minutes per tire to air up. So it's taking me about 15 minutes to air up all 4 tires with the ARB. So when I aired up the first time with the PowerTank, my first thought was, holy shit, this thing is fast. It took about 28 seconds to air up 1 tire. I aired up all 4 tires in 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. It is amazingly fast. I did a quick, almost scientific comparison just to make sure that I wasn't imagining it or exaggerating, and there's absolutely no doubt that the PowerTank is way faster than the ARB compressor. So having gone out and using my PowerTank over 4 times now, I can safely say I love it. I'm never going back to an air compressor. As a matter of fact, when my current ARB completely dies, it is going in the trash. PowerTank is faster, it's quieter, there's less moving parts, it's more reliable. I love it. Now, there's one thing that I don't love about the PowerTank. PowerTank guys, if you're watching, this is where you need to step up your game. If you get the drop bracket, that's the extra bracket that you can use to lower where the tank is mounted. It's really helpful if you get a larger 15 or 20 pound tank to keep it away from the top of the Jeep so you can get your hands up there to the regulator. It's also really simple to install, but it comes with a small self-tapping sheet metal screw that you put in through the bracket and into the fender, and that keeps it from flopping around. Well, I installed that, and 45 seconds later, it just pulled back out. It just didn't hold on to the metal on the underside of the fender. So I had to go to the hardware store. I had to invest an extra 75 cents for a small nut, bolt, and washer to put through there instead. So it's got a big washer on the backside, so now it won't pull out. So that's the only issue I've had with the PowerTank, and that's only because I got the optional drop bracket and it cost me less than $1 to fix it. So it's not a big deal. PowerTank, you could up your game by taking care of that and shipping a nut and a bolt instead of that self-tapping screw. So now you know that I love my PowerTank. I want to know what you use and why. Are you using compressed air, are you using PowerTank, or some other system? Leave a comment below and tell us what you're using, as well as why you're using it and why you chose it over one system or the other. Also, if you have any questions about my PowerTank or my ARB, or if you want to come and get my ARB before I throw it in the trash, leave that comment below. I'll try to respond to all comments. Thanks for watching.